So, thank you everyone making time and jumping onto this conversation. So, just a quick intro because this will be recorded. I know some of you, and you know all of me. So, you know also some of me as well. So, my name is Sunil Satyendra, newly minted PCC in the same words as Vivek's. So, just around 4 days back, I finished my ICE exam. ICE is part of the exam, is part of the ICE. So I finished that for my PCC, and I think among all the people that I know, I think I've cleared it twice. So ACC in May and PCC now. So the same or similar exam, the same space of the exam. I'm one of the very few, I guess, who's done it with this frequency. So it's been a huge journey for me in terms of not knowing anything around coaching way back in August 2022 and to finish PCC by October 2023. It's been a thriller of a ride, and I'm absolutely thrilled that it is over. And now I can concentrate on other things around now what happens after PCC. So it's a journey that I'm happy to start. But today, I think you've all gathered here to understand my experiences around what was my experience with preparation for the ICF. ICF CK, that is. Sorry, ICE, not the CK. So first of all, I think general space, whenever I've spoken to people, one of the things that I've very strongly focused on is the mental aspect of the exam preparation. And it's about this space saying you are a good coach, irrespective of what happens with the exam. So it is to be noted that the exam doesn't define you as a coach, neither does it define you as an individual, and more so as an individual. And maybe if the exam is a little tough, it is maybe because it is tough. It's not something to do with your competencies as a coach, your pluses and minuses as a person. So nothing to do with that. It's just something that is to be crossed when you are actually credentialing. And just go to the exam like you're going to any other exam in school. Maybe I come from that space where I went to every exam thinking that I was the boss for this exam. And the question paper is not designed to basically fail us. It's designed to test us, challenge us. And the same spaces with the IC. So it's not something that's been designed to basically put you back, but it does challenge you at places, and it's something that can be worked with. So mental preparations is, I think, a lot to do with the space of being fully present in the exam, which is very, very important. So there are 81 questions, and part A is 41, part B is 40 questions. When I first wrote the first time for the ACC, part B was a lot easier. This time part B was a little more difficult. And also part A, it's basically there are 4 options. So the exam, if I have to share one of my possible spaces of preparation, is that the exam is not designed to help you find the right answer or the wrong answer. So that's why it's called basically the best answer and the worst answer. And also it is the best answer and the worst answer among the options that are available to you. So a lot of the times what happens is the question is being read, which usually is not as simple as a simple one-liner. The question has some level of additional information that you'll have to maybe let go of. And also it has all the right information that you need to make a decision among the 4. So among the 4, you need to choose the best option, and among the 4, you also need to choose the worst option. And not necessarily the best answer and the worst answer. So the differentiation is the best option and the worst option, and not the best answer and the worst answer. So among the options you need to choose. So sometimes you need to park that judgment, or park that very quick answering that you are doing to look at all 4 of the options, weigh the options, and then basically what happens is there's a question and there's a box for the best answer and box for the worst answer, and there are 4 options. You need to drag and drop the best option and the worst option. So you need to drag and drop. And at some point, all of the questions, you get to a sort of a momentum wherein, my part B, I had a space where first 6 questions I had to flag. So because they were a little too difficult for me after the break. So part A and part B, there's a 5-minute break. So I'd taken that break. And then, I'd come back to the test. And the first 6, I think it just hit me and I didn't know what to do. So I just flagged all the questions. The 7th to 11th, I finished it in 3.5 to 4 minutes because the questions came a little more easier. And then I went back to the first 6 and then I finished. So there is possibility of, so whatever you answer in part B, you can answer at any point of time only for the part B equation. So part A again, so you can't go back to part A after you come to part B. So you have 41 questions in part A and 40 in part B. So that's how you progress. So you finish part A and then you go to part B. So enough time, specifically if you're taking it from India, and I think also non-native English speaking countries. So you get 4 hours, which is again 117 minutes for part A and 117 minutes for part B. This is like hugely amazing time. So time pressure should be off for you. And I heard a lot of people also tell me that they were looking for the answers for a longer point of time. Somebody who reached out to me said 3 or 4 questions, it took them 20 minutes. The best space to do it is if you don't find the answer in 2 minutes, if you feel there are too many confusing options, flag, move, flag, move. And also one of the secrets for me, which I have discovered, and these are my secrets, it's not essentially that, it's ICF's way of doing it, is to actually stay present with each of these questions. So I heard this stand-up comedian tell me that, when he saw Arnold, and Arnold is somebody, the Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he loves people, he talks to people, and every person who he talks to feels that Arnold is talking to them and nobody else. So when you're answering that particular question, I think you and the question are the only things that are there. And when question 1 is done, you're going to question 2. You don't look at question. You don't think about question 1. Neither do you think about question 3. So you're completely present with question 2, which I think is one of the greatest difficulties to stay, because you don't know whether the question is the answer that you put are right or wrong. So there is that space where you mentally need to prepare yourself to make that context switching, as we call it. So the context switch from question 1 to question 2, question 2 to question 3, and keep on going until you finish. So time wise, if you're taking it from India, you don't find that difficulty. You find a lot of time with you. And the second thing is stay present with each of those questions. So switch off and switch on again. So you need to do a context switching very quickly, which could be a difficulty. So one of the things I did was I took 2 mock exams and I had a switch. So whenever I am getting off this, I was basically making a mental note. And I also made a mental note as to how much is the time I am able to concentrate continuously. So I had made a note that I can concentrate for 27 minutes straight. And after 27, it gets really, really foggy. So what I did was I take a quick break. So I just close my eyes, take a quick break between each of these questions, such that my concentration is fully there with each of these questions. And you will also face that when you're looking at 40 questions, because it does tire you, because you're reading, constantly switching your focus. And then, when you're reading the question, there are a lot of times where the question is, what is the coach doing? Or what should the coach do in that? So that question usually gets repeated across the formats. So I used to skip that particular junction and only look at some of the keywords. So if you're going at a place where you're doing it, the exam, you're taking it physically, they'll give you a sheet where you can write. So some of the things I actually noted down, what was question 1 and then the keywords. You have time to make a note of all that, but this is how I operate. Could be something that you may find it easy, some you may find it difficult, but that's one of the operation points that really worked out for me, is to make a note of the few things that is being said. But I think it is also very clear at some points that you don't need to think too much. The best option will present to you simply because the other 3 are bad. So sometimes you don't need to think about the best option because the other 3 are bad. So this automatically becomes the best answer. So in that way, I also played a little bit of mathematics. I said, okay, there are 4 options. There's a 50% possibility or a 25% possibility that one of them is right. So both combined, it is a 50% space. And I need 75% to pass the exam. So the entirety of the 75% of a 162 options, basically 81 into 2. And that's basically 3 right answers for every 4. So I can afford to get 1 mark out and I will still pass. So this is also a strategy in my head, basically to cool my head, saying it's okay if I don't get everything right. So that was one of the spaces I also worked. So my space has been a lot of mental preparation. And in terms of the actual preparations for the ICE, I think spent 7 days for the ACC and 3 days for PCC because I was familiar with the context. And I skipped a lot of the mock exams that said, this is an old format. So I did none of the old format exams. Only 2 that I really religiously followed. I think one was the Go Master Coach, and second was the Solutions Academy. So 2 places. The other things were basically the ethics, the ethical framework, also the space of learning around the interpretive statements. This is, I think, everybody will tell you the same thing. And the YouTube videos, I think officially that's been part of the ICF. So these were my the spaces which I really concentrated on. And sometimes I used to also sleep and as in lie down and let the videos flow. So the videos, I think I've listened to it around 10-20 times. So catching on different words, catching on different spaces a lot of times. And I have a space of listening to it 2x. So basically to save time. That's something that I did. You can read, watch it or hear it at your own space. So here I was mentally preparing myself to say that I am going to take the exam, whatever be the result of it, I don't know. I am going to prepare myself to a place where I feel I'm 100% good. And that's also a space I think you should also get to, wherein you feel internally that your preparation has been complete. And that space, when you get to the exam, just wait there. Maybe it pays if you're 15 minutes early, such that you're able to sort of get your energies to a base energy and then go take the exam, tackle the exam. And I haven't had any experience where I have taken it at home, because both of my experiences have been at the place and it's been a very smooth one. So that's what I would like to say. And the screen is quite big, specifically at that point. So the questions will not appear in a long paragraph, but it is 2 or 3 lines, but you have to continuously switch. Maybe one of the other spaces where you can actually also do is read a little bit, in terms of read a long book or read this thing, such that your concentration also improves when you're sort of even getting to before the exam. And don't push the exam for too much of time, because the more you push, the more pressure it gets. So if you get your at least the ACTP path, where you get your certificate that everything is cleared, when you apply, and they usually take around 4 weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. As soon as the ICF reaches out to you, look for a 15-day window. I think that's the perfect window. Maybe if it is a little too much, either the space is either you push it to the extremes, or just taking it even next day may not be the best place. So 15-day window before 15 days, finish it off. And if you're not able to clear the exam, like I said, once again, when I started, this is not an indication about who you are as a person. Neither is it an indication of how good or how bad you are as a coach. It's at that particular day, there may be a few questions that you are not being able to stay present to. So it's not a marks card of any sort, but it does cost you $105 to write it back again. And you can do so after a 2-week window. And I think 1 month delta, not 2 months now. So 30 days, you need to finish it off. So the second exam, you need to write it within, I think, 45 days. So 15 plus 30. And that's how it is. And what else did I do? So I didn't do too many things. I think I did not do anything which had a paid, which was behind a paywall. So I also did not look at Lisa's paid videos, neither any other organization's paid videos or paid stuff. So you can still do it free, and you can basically do it a little more smarter. And don't get yourself into too many WhatsApp groups, because every other question that comes in, sometimes a lot of people are solving the old CK, essentially the CK questions, where there's only the best option that you need to choose. And in those options, they're trying to find the worst, and it really confuses them. The format will have no fill in the blanks, will have nothing like that. It's a complex question. So I think just see the 8 example questions that are part of the ICF. That will give you some sort of an idea. And also do a mock test. Do the mock test 2 days before, such that you have time to also improve on the mock test and learn what is the space behind the mock test. Don't do it just the day before, because that, if there's some space where you don't get the right answers, I think you will get to a place where you will put additional pressure on yourselves. So don't do that. So put a little bit of time buffering between this. And I think mentally, these are the things. Physically, I think get to a place where you are fully with your body. So your food intake, your sleep intake are very, very fantastically noted, because this is very important, because the eyes uh, will really get strained in terms of how much of time you're actually with the screen. And if you had a bad sleep, I think it'll really wreck your chances, specifically in part B. Yeah. So part A, it will sail through. Part B, it gets a little tough, because it's constant. That context switching is taking a toll on you. Looking at the screen is taking a toll on you, and you're also looking at how many answers you cracked. So one of the other things that I was also looking at is, as soon as I know that some of the questions are easy, and you'll know, okay, what is the best answer, what is the worst answer. So every time I did a fish pump saying, okay, this question I'm through. So there are two points to this. Both of them are clean, and I moved on. And that's another space in terms of this. Maybe the access has a gradient. Basu, can you just mute?
Question, Sunil. How did you find the difference between ACC and PCC exam?
I think the exams are similar. So I didn't find any, but I did feel a little bit of space wherein there was a slightly upper, the like difficulty level was slightly higher. But I think it was not such a space where I think it was difficult. So that is my observation.
Also, you mentioned the Solution Academy and another website where you study from. What is that? Sorry.
Solutions Academy and Go Master Coach. I will share this.
Go Master.
Okay. So Go Master Coach.
All right.
Yeah, I will share the links once the recording is closed. I will share the links. Yeah. So can you mute? I think I can also mute. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So Shweta, to answer your question, is it specific to ACC and PCC? So whatever I'm sharing is generic towards the preparation. So the preparation levels, the same content is what you see for both MCC, PCC, and ACC. So the content that is there, that is in terms of the ethics, the framework, the competencies, all of them are looked at in the same formatting. Because when I heard the videos, there's a specific place where Brighton asked, saying, what is the differentiation between ACC, PCC, and MCC? And some of the answers that I found were most of the spaces being looked at in terms of your recordings rather than some of your ethics. And there are some places, I don't know if it was a cheat sheet, but some of the observations I made were there are specifically the ethics FAQ space, wherein their interpretive statements are given a little more of a slightly a big, or the ethical standards are explained a little more in detail. So they double click on it. And that places, there are a few places where you will get to know possible questions that can come out of that. So you maybe just stay. I think staying present is the winner here. So just stay present with the question, and you will get your answers. And sometimes if it is confusing, flag move, and you will get enough time in the end to come back to the flag questions and then put your answers. If at all you're coming to a space where your timer is running out, you're at the flagged questions, make the most instinctive of choices and then put your answers, because there are no negative markings. So don't put too much of effort into this. And I think also when I'm talking about this, I also need to be careful in this space, saying, at majority of the places, the ICF is not looking for your answer. So what would you do as a coach? But rather, what is the best option, worst option in terms of ICF's ethics, standards, core value systems. So there could be some spaces where you as an individual could do it differently, but then how is it expected from them? I think that's where that space is. There's a slight gray area at that place. So not all answers are very intuitive, but some come very, very, very quickly. Confidentiality breach is a very strong space of understanding for the no-no. And I think in my experience, competency breach, then ethical breach, then competency breach. So the standard is worst is always the competence, a breach in terms of confidentiality, breach in terms of coaching, methodology. So you switch to mentoring, you switch to consulting. Those constitute some of the spaces where it could be worst. But then one of the other strategies that I also did was so right through my life I've been a champ when it comes to MCQs. So these are multiple choice questions. I usually look at the answers and then I look at the question first and question later. So when I've looked at the questions, a lot of these times when I've done my entrance exams, so I looked at all 4 answers, are similar, but there's a shift in, the one of the factors. Then I've not done any of the calculations. I've just looked at what could be the best numbers that could solve it. So even here, I looked at it that way. So some of the times I looked at the options first and then looked at the question because I'm not biased about the answer at that point. I tell this because when you look at the question is a little bit of complex. It's tuned a little complexly. It's not as straightforward as you see in some of those places in the mock exams. So it is slightly with a twist. And again, what happens is that first instinct is what will I do as a coach takes over very, very quickly. So here also you need to maintain that non-judgmental attitude or non-judgmental space. As a coach, don't judge the don't judge the questions and don't judge any of the answers as well. So keep that space of neutrality, keep that space of presence completely available with yourself when you're answering each of these questions. And just take a pause here and see, if whatever you wanted to get answered from this question is getting answered or everything is bouncing over the head.
Thank you. These are very good points. Thank you, Sunil.
Absolutely. And thanks for letting me know. And yeah, I think you will find the answers. The questions get a little intense through the 80 questions. Some places there's a higher intensity of the questions, and some places there are lows. If you get high intensity questions in the beginning, just flag them or put an answer and move, such that you will always catch the wave in terms of the easier questions. You can answer them and always come back. So that's generally been my experience in the 2 places. So both commonalities have been that I didn't take too much pressure for the exam. I went there, completed that, and was completely present with each of these questions. And also my mental preparation was very similar. And I did listen to a lot of these videos, listen to a lot of these spaces. And I may have looked at the competencies and the ethics maybe around 20 times in 3 days. So I just went through them, such that it becomes, stays in the head. And it also helps that you've done a lot of coaching. So I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of coaching. And I think when you're hitting your ACCs and you're hitting at least your PCCs, you would have done 500 hours. And how you use your 500 hours is also an important space. And so I've done a lot of experiments in terms of working with, say, peer coaches, in terms of different language, in terms of, understanding them from their context, working with metaphors. So that has really enabled me to ask, look at that particular space and just take that question by question, option by option. There are a few questions for you, Shweta. Were you able to? Yeah, so 500 hours in 1 year, less than a year. So apparently I have competition. Somebody has done it in 7.5 months. I'm like amazed at that. But I did feel proud to finish the entire 500 hours in around less than a year, 363 days. And yeah, Dhanashree, as what sort of videos do you recommend? I think you do see a lot of videos from some premier MCC organizations and MCCs and a few organizations. So they are actually like a explanation around some of the ethics, some of the competencies, and they don't have the flavor of the ICE specifically. So they are explaining when Lisa does explain, she's explaining more of the competencies as is, the ethics as is, and that's also the space with the ICF actual official videos. So ICF has a playlist that discusses each of the ethics and each of the competencies. So that is the YouTube videos I completely recommend. There are others, I guess, you will find on YouTube, but please make a note that these are part of the new or the IC, not the CK. The CK ones are a little old. Some of the questions may not be relevant for you to solve. And what I have seen happening with a lot of my friends who reach out to me is that they are solving the new format, but then essentially the questions are old. So you are always at a confusion part. You are confused about the exam, and you've seen so many others give you so many others, other say points of views. So I've seen a lot of WhatsApp groups with a lot of discussions. There are 4 options. Some of them say all 4 options are good, and some of them are putting in all 4 options are bad. So there's eight interpretations around each of these statements that come for a single question, and nobody knows the exact right answer. So everybody is also just shooting from their own experiences. So that makes it tricky. So I'd say, go for it in a space where you look at it from a very personal point of view and not from too many horses. Too many cooks spoil the broth. So basically, don't have too many people that you are asking questions for. But in case you do want to ask me a question, I think that's open. I will ask you to, I'll be a coach when you are a client. So I'll ask you, why do you think this is the right answer? Why do you think that is not the wrong answer? So feel free to reach out to me in case you have any questions. Happy to help. And yeah, so I'll put the links and all the things that I described. I think I have one of the links. I will just share it with you. It's a playlist. You can just directly play with that. So I will share that at the end of this recording. And any other questions? Do you feel that this is enough? Do you have any other questions? Happy to answer.
Sunil, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had taken the test and had a experience where I didn't clear it. Yeah, I pretty much got a bit, vulnerable. I felt at that point of time seeing those questions, thinking that it's going to be same as the mock. So, what I just wanted to understand that is there 81 questions? Is it 10 questions for competency, or it also has the ethics as well, right? The 28 standards and the FAQs.
Yeah. So actually, Rahul, to answer that question, I don't think when I was in the exam, I was counting what competency it was. It just simply was, just look at the question, look at the options, answer it. I'm not sure because I think the older version had each of the competencies and saying, they're marking on each of your competencies, 12%, 13%. Those percentages are fixed. I sadly could not look at those patterns, and now I don't remember the questions.
Right.
So I don't know how to answer that, but there were a lot of ethical questions. There were a lot of questions. Some of them around staying, in the internal coach. So specifically, I think standard number 5 or standard number 6 were being put in question. When is confidentiality being breached? There are a few tricky ones. So the wordings also are a tricky space. So look at those wordings. And I think the wordings will give you an answer as to what this is. So there were a few ones Wherein when I was doing the review, I was like, oh, that's not the right answer. That's not the best answer. So I did do a switch. So and I keep joking about this, and I keep sharing this experience. So even ACC, I think while doing the revision of the answers, I switched 8 answers. PCC also, I switched 8 answers. I don't know, did I pass because I switched the 8 answers, or I got less because I switched the 8 answers? I have no idea. So, and I think at that point, yeah, I think that's the space why the the ICE is very challenging, because the answer sheet, the patterns are not something that's been available to everybody. It's like usually after one year, the exam becomes a lot more easier because so many people have gone through the exam. And if you catch 81 coaches, get one question each of them, there is a possibility at the end of it, your general formula. But I didn't find any general formula in the 2 times that I've written it, saying, oh, this is the formula that they're using. Crack that formula, you crack the exam. I don't think there's a formula.
Right. Thanks, Sunil.
Yeah.
Sunil, I have another question. So you get the scores right away, yeah, after exam?
Yes, after the exam. So score is only how much out of 600, how much is the number you've scored, and you will get a space saying a pass or fail. So it doesn't give you a space saying which competency, how many marks you got per competency, nothing like that.
Oh, just total marks.
Total marks. And 460 is the 75% ratio.
Yeah, that is the passing bench. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So don't ask my marks because we are recording and I can't tell you.
Doesn't matter. You have cleared both the exam. That's the big thing.
I think that is also a very nice point that you mentioned. So I had gone to the clear strategy saying every four questions or 4 possibilities, 3 must be right. So that's where I hit 75%. And I didn't want to get to the exam to say I'll hit 600. No, I think my strategy was very clear. Saying 75 and above is fantastic. The above, whatever be the case, 75 is the thing that I have to hit. So I don't know what drivers you have. So each person has a driver. Some really want to be a be perfect and really jump onto all the things that are right. Tick all, put all the right dots at the right I's and put the right bars at all the T's. So that could also be something that you could look at. So I have a very strong try hard and basically a please others, but I think the please others was not required here because I didn't have to really please. But looking at those, so somebody who was a hurry up driver would really be like, okay, I need to answer as quickly as possible. So there is enough time to let the question marinate, find out what are the right options, look at those options and look at it. And yeah, I think for any exam to be put at such a place, they would have tested it and put it. So I also had a lot of trust in the ICF exam, saying, and the exam is not designed to make you, not pass it. So it is meant to challenge you, but I think it's at a moderate space. It's not neither too easy that you can't prepare and you can just go sit there, finish it off. Neither does it require to, get to know everything around coaching and only then hit the CK or hit the IC exam. So you will have to feel confident internally. So wherever that confidence space is, you can just go and write. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other?
So what was the key to complete the hours? That is like a monster to finish.
I think there's a separate video for that. I will, you can look that up on my LinkedIn. But generally, the strategy was always to complete the hours first, and then get into all the recordings, clearance, and all that. And I think I'll do this full time. So it gives me a lot of time to do it, and I'm very excited to coach anyone and everyone. And I've never looked at any peer coaching also as something just to make the hours. I've put in, like in my LinkedIn post, if you see, life, blood and tears put into this PCC at this point. So, and it was a beautiful experience. I learned from a lot of people, and majority of the people that are in this call have been people I've worked with as a peer coach. But I think every time I looked at them as a real client, and I experimented. I've also worked with say working with metaphors, how creativity can be brought into coaching, worked with different languages, Hindi, Kannada, English. So I've had a lovely experience. I've never looked at it in terms of hours. Hours were just a byproduct of getting into coaching. So when you fall in love, you don't count the number of days you fall in love. So you just love the space.
Great.
Yeah. So Shri is smiling. Shri, yeah. Any questions? Any comments? If we are still recording. Thanks, sir.
So my comments will come after the recording is stopped. I'm far off from that $200, $500. So my first question would be, since you're ready to take another test, is your PCC transferable?
Yeah, I think it's an ethical question. It depends on the options that you're giving me. Oh yes, no. But I'd gladly answer it.
You know, I joined this conversation because though I'm very far away from this, it's something that I can store in my brain when I come there. And also, you know, when you meet people who have done this, it also provides a drive for you to be better at what you're doing. So that was the purpose of joining this, though I'm very far away from this ACC and PCC. Eventually, I'll get there, correct? So I have to get there.
Yeah, and if, in case you need any help preparing, you can always reach out.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so I think I shared this space around this link around what is required for you to sort of learn, and that's the exam. The one I've shared is the exam, and now what I'm sharing is the ICF official ICF YouTube. So you can just check that series, and once the series ends, there's another playlist that also plays. So I think this one is the ethics one, and there's also a competency one. Vivek, so I didn't understand, Vivek, whatever you put in the chat.
Can we end the call with that?
YouTube link.
Yeah, Sunil, why don't you keep that links in our group, WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I will share.
That will be better.
Absolutely. And for those, thanks, Prashant, for that. So one of the other things that is also part of this space is that I run a WhatsApp community of coaches who do also peer coaching. There are spaces where we meet, we share our experiences. It's a community of wonderful coaches. We call it the tribe. So feel free, if you're not part of the tribe yet, feel free to write to me, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions. And you already know me on the on WhatsApp or different medias that we've gotten in touch with. And I also will just share my number on the chat, so you can always just reach out to me. And I will share these links in the WhatsApp group. And anyone who writes to me, I think I have this quite handy in my drive. I can just share it with you. So if there are no further questions, I just close the recording. Thank you for your time. And yeah, so this just, if there are other questions, happy to take.
Once you have paused the recording, Pungi, can we?
Yeah.
Sunil, just last question.
Yes,
Do you need to know the numbers of the markers and competencies as well?
No. Absolutely no. This is a space, I think this is like that theory exam versus application-based exam. So it's an application-based exam. So you're applying these ethics, they're applying this. No need to know whether it's CC 7.1, CC 6.3, ethics number 21. So no need to know that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if we're done, yeah, absolutely. So hopefully this is the beginning of my mentor coach journey. And if you do want your recordings reviewed, I'd be happy to do that at a particular price. If you want to get mentor coached, absolutely. So I never stop marketing some of the spaces that I'm into. So Yeah, lovely to meet all of you. If you're not part of the tribe, just write to me. I'd be happy to just reach out, and then we can take this forward. Thank you so much for all the love, affection, and all the congratulations that you've been showering me with. I feel blessed to be a part of this community as such. Yeah, with that, I will officially close.